Hey there, Alan Matthews here from Classical Guitar Shed, and we're going to be talking about Roman numeral analysis in music. This is a music theory thing, and the way that we can think about this is like going to a wedding. And so once you go to a wedding, you look around and you say, it's all about relationship. You say, okay, so who's on the groom's side, who's on the bride's side, assuming it's a traditional wedding. Okay, well there's that, and then you have your immediate family. Oh, that's the bride's sister, that's the groom's father. And so you find those relationships, and then there becomes, oh, well that's the cousin's date, right? Oh, that's the shoe salesman who is a good childhood friend, or whatever it is. We have these relationships between everybody, and so then whenever we're meeting people, that's one of the first pieces of information we get is how are people related? How do they fit into the picture? And that's exactly what Roman numeral analysis is with chords. It just tells us how one chord relates to another chord within the tune. So with that said, if you enjoy this, please subscribe to this channel. Let's jump right in. Well, to start off this conversation, we just need to look at a basic scale. This is just a basic C scale, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And whenever we have a scale, then each of these numbers, we give them a number. I mean, each of these notes, we give them a number. So then the C is the root, it's the number 1. And then we have the 2 and the 3 and the 4 and the 5 and the 6 and the 7 and the 8 is an octave, octo 8. And so these are the numbers. So if we were to say, what is the relationship of the E to the C, we would say E is the third of a C. F is the fourth of the C, right? G is the fifth of the C. So we can relate things to each other. And whenever we're doing this within a major scale, we generally relate it to the root. So the number 1. So then all of these are in relationship. This is the 7th. The 7th of what? It's the 7th of this scale in relationship to the 1. And whatever the 1 is, if we're in the key of E flat, then the E flat is the 1. If we're in key of F, F is the 1. So whatever the scale is that we're talking about, the key of the piece, then that's how we use these numbers. So then within each of those notes in the scale, then we can stack some notes on top of it and make chords out of them. So now these are all the same notes, but now we've just stacked by threes. We've just stacked a couple of notes on each, and that just makes chords. And then once we put in these chords, then we get different chord qualities. And this is major and minor chords with a diminished chord. So then with each of these, we have these tendencies. Within a major scale, we have these different chord qualities. And typically, when we're playing a song, we just name them. We go to C, we go to D minor, we go to E minor, and F, and G, and A. And we just go all the way through all the chords, and we just call them by their chord name, right? And so then the question is then, within it, then how would we do an analysis? How would we write this on a piece of music so that we could remember these? And by doing that, it's Roman numerals. So then we have our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Or 5, 6, 7, 1. And then we use an uppercase Roman numeral for major chords. We use a lowercase Roman numeral for minor chords. And then we use this a minor chord with a little circle on it like this for diminished chords. And so those are going to be the most common one. You could also have 7s on here. If it's a 5-7, you can just put a 7 right there. Whatever it happens to be, then you can add to these to make it more descriptive of what the actual chord is. But the 5 tells us in relationship to what? In relationship to the 1. So you could say this is a G chord, right? And if we have a G chord in our music, then we can say, well, in our key of C, G is C, D, E, F, G. It's the 5. And so we could say 5, and this chord happens to be major, so we'll use an uppercase V. And so for Roman numerals, in case you're not familiar with Roman numerals, it's I for 3, and then you start, and then V is 5, and you subtract 1 for 4. So I, V is 4, and then you start stacking I's, 7, 8, and then you only have to go up this far to 7 within for music. So this is Roman numeral analysis. It's all about how does the chord relate to the root chord. And things can get more complicated from here. We can say, well, this is the 2 of this, and this is the 5 of that, and take it out of the key, or kind of make a temporary key. But like we could say it's the 5 of the 2, let's say, or something like that. So we could start to use these in a little bit more elaborate way, but in a very basic form, the root is the 1, and then from our major scale, each one just has 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we have our chord quality, which is major or minor, or diminished or augmented, and then we can write that using lowercase and uppercase numbers. And this is how we can go through a piece of music and do the analysis on it. And that is an intro into Roman numeral analysis in music. It's a great thing to do. It's a great exercise for your brain. It's a great way to look at each chord and look at how it fits into the big picture. And it's just a great way to explore your music a little bit deeper. So have fun with that. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to this channel, and we'll do it again sometime. All right, be well. Bye-bye.